Lieutenant Dahlia Frost stared at the anomalous signal pattern pulsing across her monitor, its rhythm unlike anything in the Terran Coalition database. The observation post, suspended at the edge of Sol's heliosphere, was typically quiet, humanity's silent sentinel watching the vast emptiness beyond. "Command, this is Outpost Artemis," she said, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "I'm detecting a repeating pattern on frequency band Delta 9. It's structured mathematical, definitely artificial." The response came after a 3-minute delay, the lieutenant's only reminder of her isolation from Earth. "Artemis, maintain observation protocols. Data packet received. Analysis underway." Dahlia ran her fingers through her cropped auburn hair, a nervous habit from childhood that military discipline had never quite erased. The signal wasn't random noise, it carried intention, emotion even. After 5 years stationed at humanity's farthest outpost, she developed an intuition for these things. Her second-in-command, technical specialist Javier Rodriguez, leaned over her console. "What do you think, LT? Pirates using new encryption?" "No," she replied, eyes fixed on the oscillating patterns. "This is too complex too elegant, and look at the origin vector, it's coming from the Cygnus arm over 2,000 light-years away." Javier whistled softly. "That's way beyond any known human expedition." The outpost's AI assistant, Echo, interrupted with its characteristically calm voice. "Lieutenant Frost, incoming transmission from Terran Defense Headquarters, Priority Alpha." The screen flickered, revealing the weathered face of Fleet Admiral Ezekiel Stone. His dark eyes, set deep in a face mapped with the lines of a 40-year military career, regarded her with intensity. "Lieutenant Frost, your discovery has caused quite a stir. I've got xenolinguists and cryptographers practically wrestling for access to your data feed." Dahlia straightened instinctively. "Sir, with respect, this doesn't feel like a first contact situation. The mathematical sequence contains distress harmonics." Stone's expression darkened. "That assessment aligns with Dr. Haruki Nakamura's preliminary analysis. I'm transferring you to his laboratory feed." The screen split, revealing an organized chaos of holographic projections and scattered physical notes. At the center stood a slender Japanese man in his 50s, his silver-streaked hair pulled back in a short ponytail. "Lieutenant Frost," Nakamura said, nodding respectfully, "your instincts are correct. This is a distress call, but with an unusual characteristic. It's been repeating for approximately 73 years. Dahlia felt a chill despite the outpost's regulated temperature. 73 years, then whoever sent it "is likely long dead," Nakamura finished. "But that's not why Admiral Stone contacted you, show her Admiral." Stone's expression was grim as he authorized access to a classified data packet. "In the past 18 months, Dr. Nakamura has been tracking anomalous extinction-level events across multiple star systems. Lieutenant, you're looking at evidence of simultaneous collapse of at least 7 distinct civilizations." The holographic display showed star maps with pulsing red indicators scattered across 3 galactic arms. Dahlia's stomach tightened as she recognized the pattern. "They form a perimeter," she whispered, "with us just inside the edge." Nakamura nodded gravely. "Whatever is causing these extinctions appears to be moving methodically through this section of the galaxy. Based on the progression rate, Earth has perhaps 5 years before whatever it is reaches us." Admiral Stone cleared his throat. "The Terran Coalition Council meets in 3 days to discuss this. They'll likely vote to strengthen our defensive perimeter and continue our isolationist stance." "That's suicide," Dahlia said, forgetting protocol. "If 7 advanced civilizations couldn't stop this threat individually." "My assessment exactly," Stone interrupted. "Which is why I'm recalling you to Earth immediately, Lieutenant. Your discovery provides tangible evidence we can present to the Council. We need to convince them that humanity's best defense isn't hiding behind our borders. It's actively seeking alliances and confronting this threat before it reaches us." Hours later, as Dahlia prepared to board the transport vessel, she paused at the observation deck. The endless stars reflected in her eyes as Javier approached with a data crystal. "The complete signal analysis, LT, I added my personal notes, might help with the Council presentation." Dahlia accepted the crystal with a grateful nod. "Don't let Artemis get lonely while I'm gone." His smile didn't reach his eyes. "Just make them listen, Dahlia, make them understand we can't face this alone." The transport's engines hummed to life as Dahlia settled into her acceleration couch. She clutched the data crystal, feeling the weight of billions of lives, human and alien alike, pressing upon her. Somewhere across the vast darkness, civilizations were dying, their final desperate calls for help echoing through the void. And now, by chance or fate, humanity had intercepted their dying words. The question remained, would Earth answer that call with thunder or silence? Naval Officer Octavia Reynolds adjusted the collar of her midnight blue uniform as she stood on the bridge of the TSS Harbinger, the most advanced reconnaissance vessel in Earth's fleet. Through the panoramic viewscreen, the distant star, catalogued as Cygnus Delta 479, pulsed with an ominous crimson glow. Dropping out of quantum fold in 3, 2, 1, announced pilot Julian West, his fingers dancing across the navigation console. The familiar stretching sensation faded as the Harbinger transitioned to normal space, and Octavia suppressed a gasp. Where sensor data had indicated a thriving solar system with multiple planetary bodies, only devastation remained. Fractured worlds, asteroid fields that had once been moons, and the unmistakable energy signatures of massive weapons discharge. Full sensor sweep, passive mode only, Octavia ordered, her olive-skinned face illuminated by the emergency lighting. Communications, maintain signal blackout protocols. If whatever did this is still here, I don't want them knowing we've arrived. Science Officer Wren Halsey, her silver eyes reflecting the holographic displays floating before her, looked up with concern. Captain, I'm detecting residual energy patterns consistent with the distress signal Lieutenant Frost discovered. Origin point appears to be the fourth planet, or what's left of it. Octavia nodded grimly, tactical assessment. Security Chief Benedict Freeman, a towering figure with dark skin and a precisely trimmed beard, studied his readings with practiced efficiency. Conflict signatures suggest the battle concluded approximately 14 standard days ago. No active weapons fire detected, but, he paused, frowning. There's something unusual about these readings. The damage patterns don't match any known weapon system in our database. Life signs? Octavia asked, already suspecting the answer. Wren shook her head. Nothing on primary scans, but I'm detecting anomalous energy fluctuations from one of the larger fragments of the fourth planet. It could be a shielded structure. Octavia made her decision. Prepare a dropship. Chief Freeman, assemble a security team. Officer Halsey, you're with us. Julian, keep the engines hot. If anything larger than a shuttle appears, you evacuate immediately. That's an order. Understood, Captain, Julian replied, his usual levity absent. But with respect, don't make me leave you behind. 30 minutes later, Octavia led her team through the floating remnants of a once thriving civilization. Their dropship navigated the debris field cautiously, eventually docking with what appeared to be a partially intact research facility embedded in a massive asteroid fragment. Atmosphere is breathable but thin, Wren reported as they prepared to breach the external airlock. Temperature -15°C. Benedict checked his pulse rifle. Movement detected inside, multiple signatures, but they're erratic. The airlock cycled open, revealing darkened corridors illuminated only by emergency lighting and the team's helmet lamps. The architecture was distinctly non-human, flowing curves rather than angular junctions, with what appeared to be bioluminescent material embedded in the walls, now dimmed to near extinction. Captain, Wren whispered, examining her scanner, these structures appear to be partially organic. The entire facility is, or was, alive. As they penetrated deeper into the facility, they discovered the first bodies, humanoid but clearly alien, with elongated limbs and iridescent blue skin now dulled in death. Their bodies bore strange, web-like patterns that seemed to have grown from within. These patterns, Wren said, scanning one of the corpses, they're not natural to their biology. It's almost like. A crash echoed from further inside the structure, followed by frantic movement. Benedict raised his weapon, but Octavia motioned for caution as they approached a sealed chamber. The door's control panel flickered weakly. Someone's alive in there, Octavia said. Wren, can you interface with their technology? Before Wren could answer, the door slid open, revealing a lone figure huddled beside a makeshift transmitter. The alien was similar to the dead ones they'd encountered, but lacking the web-like patterns. It looked up, its four amber eyes widening at the sight of the humans. Help has come, it said in halting standard English, clearly learned from intercepted human transmissions. Too late for my people, not too late for yours. Octavia holstered her sidearm, stepping forward carefully. I'm Captain Octavia Reynolds of the Terran Coalition vessel Harbinger. We received your distress signal. The alien struggled to stand, revealing a grievous wound along its side. I am Jerk, last xenobiologist of the Luminari Conclave. What you see here, he gestured toward the devastation beyond the station's walls, is but the beginning. They are called the Nyx, a parasitic hive mind that consumes civilizations. They seed worlds, then harvest. Benedict maintained his vigilance as Wren moved to examine Jerk's injuries. How did you survive? The security chief asked, suspicion evident in his tone. This facility, shielded against their detection, I maintained quarantine protocols. Jarek's breathing labored as he activated a holographic display. The Knicks travel in stages. First come the Seeders, then the Harvesters, finally the World Breakers. What destroyed my home was merely their advance force. The hologram showed a massive, asymmetrical vessel that resembled a twisted, crystalline structure more than a conventional spacecraft. Their mothership approaches the galactic sector containing your Earth. 7 cycles of devastation have preceded it. Octavia felt ice form in her stomach. How long do we have? Perhaps one of your Earth years before they reach the Sol boundary. Jarek coughed, a bioluminescent fluid spattering from his mouth. Take me with you. I have data research on their biology, weaknesses we discovered too late to exploit. Back aboard the Harbinger, Ren and the medical team worked to stabilize Jarek while Octavia contacted Earth. Admiral Stone's face appeared on the secure channel, his expression grave as she delivered her report. The Council is divided, Stone informed her after she finished. Half want to strengthen Sol's defenses and abandon the outer colonies. Commander Victor Petrova is assembling a coalition of willing species in the Orion Spur, but without full Council backing. We'll be fighting with one arm tied behind our back, Octavia finished. Admiral, I've seen what these Knicks are capable of. Defensive measures alone won't save us. I know, Stone replied. That's why your next mission is classified beyond Council oversight. Take the Harbinger to Outpost Demeter at the edge of neutral space. Commander Petrova will meet you there. Between your first-hand account, Jarek's data, and Lieutenant Frost's signal analysis, we might convince enough species to form an effective alliance. As the transmission ended, Octavia turned to find Benedict standing at attention nearby. Orders, Captain, he asked. Octavia gazed at the devastated system beyond the view screen. Prepare the crew for extended deployment. And Chief, this stays between us until we reach Demeter if the Council gets cold feet. Benedict nodded. Understood, Captain. For what it's worth, if we're going to make an unauthorized stand against these things, there's no ship I'd rather be on. Plot a course for Outpost Demeter, Octavia called to Julian as she returned to the bridge. Maximum speed. As the Harbinger accelerated away from the Graveyard of Worlds, Octavia couldn't shake the image of Jarek's devastated homeworld, or the thought that Earth might suffer the same fate. The whispers among stars had become a desperate warning, and humanity's response would determine the fate of not just their species, but countless others across the galaxy. Engineer Dominic Reeves wiped sweat from his brow as sparks cascaded around his workstation. The prototype weapon, codenamed Sunspear, hummed with escalating energy, its molecular forge glowing white-hot as it synthesized the experimental ammunition. Power readings stable at 93%. Announced his assistant, Talia Williams, her dark fingers dancing across holographic controls. Adaptive frequency modulation holding steady. Dominic nodded, his weathered face illuminated by the pulsing blue core of the device. At 42, he was considered young to lead Earth's most crucial weapons development program, but 20 years of innovative battlefield technology had earned him this underground laboratory beneath Luna's Copernicus crater. Begin phase shift test, he ordered, brushing gray-flecked hair from his eyes. Target the Knicks armor sample. Behind reinforced observation glass, the iridescent black fragment recovered from Jarek's homeworld sat in an isolation chamber. The sample had resisted every conventional weapon in Earth's arsenal, adapting to energy signatures and absorbing kinetic impacts. The Sunspear emitted a high-pitched whine as it locked onto the target. A beam of concentrated energy, not light but something more fundamental, struck the Knicks fragment. For 2 seconds nothing happened, then small fractures began spreading across the surface. It's working, Talia exclaimed, her eyes wide. Molecular bonds are destabilizing at the quantum level. Before Dominic could respond, the laboratory's security doors hissed open. Lieutenant Dahlia Frost entered, accompanied by a tall, austere man whose uniform bore the insignia of a retired fleet marshal. Impressive, remarked Thornton Frost, observing the fragmenting Knicks sample. You've managed what 3 alien civilizations couldn't. Dominic straightened, uncomfortable under the legendary tactician's scrutiny. Marshal Frost, I wasn't informed you'd be joining the observation team. He wasn't scheduled to be, Dahlia said, her tone professional despite the obvious tension. Admiral Stone requested his consultation specifically. Marshal Frost approached the weapon, studying it with clinical detachment. The Knicks adapt to conventional attack patterns because they communicate through quantum entanglement. Their distributed consciousness allows instantaneous defense reconfiguration. He turned to Dominic. You've created a weapon that disrupts that entanglement itself. Clever. Theory credit goes to Jarek, Dominic replied. We simply engineered a delivery system. Thornton's eyebrow arched. Simply, you've weaponized quantum decoherence. That's hardly simple, Engineer Reeves. Dahlia stepped forward, breaking the growing tension. How soon until production deployment? Dominic sighed, running a hand through his hair. That's the problem. Each Sunspear requires exotic materials we barely understand. We can arm perhaps a dozen capital ships within 3 months, but the Coalition fleet numbers hundreds. 3 months is all we have, Thornton stated flatly. The Nyx mothership has accelerated. Our latest intelligence suggests they've detected our preparations. Silence fell across the laboratory. Dominic exchanged a glance with Talia, whose usual confidence had vanished. There's another option, Dominic said finally. It's experimental, potentially unstable, but we could create a resonance cascade. Instead of arming every ship, we deploy several Sunspears at strategic positions. When activated simultaneously, they'd create a disruption field affecting Nyx biotech within the entire engagement zone. A disruption field of that magnitude would affect our systems too, Dahlia observed. Dominic nodded grimly. Yes, we'd be fighting partially blind with limited communications and degraded targeting systems. Thornton's eyes gleamed with interest, which would force decentralized command structures, independent action under general orders rather than tactical micromanagement. He turned to his daughter, the exact opposite of current coalition doctrine. And precisely what you advocated before your retirement, Dahlia added, her voice cooling. The strategy that cost 8,000 lives at Proxima Centauri. The strategy that saved 8 million, Thornton countered. Sometimes survival requires sacrifice. Before the familial confrontation could escalate, Dominic's secure communicator chimed. Ambassador Nadia Volkov's face appeared, her expression severe despite the elegant diplomatic markings adorning her bronze skin. Engineer Reeves, I need your preliminary effectiveness reports immediately, she demanded without preamble. The Castorian delegates are questioning our technological capability, and the Myriad Collective won't commit their fleet without assurances your weapons can penetrate Nyx defenses. Sending data now, Ambassador, Dominic replied. We've achieved 68% penetration on authentic Nyx samples. Nadia's eyes narrowed. Make it 80 before tomorrow's summit or we lose the Castorians. The coalition is fragile enough without technical uncertainties. Her gaze shifted, registering the Frost's presence. Marshal, I wasn't aware you had been reactivated. Advisory capacity only, Ambassador, Thornton replied smoothly. Admiral Stone values historical perspective. After the transmission ended, Dominic turned to his team. Everyone on double shifts. Talia, recalibrate the quantum focus array. We need higher coherence disruption without increasing power consumption. As the laboratory erupted into renewed activity, Dahlia approached Dominic. My father will push for his cascade strategy regardless of cost, she said quietly. He sees this war in pure mathematics, acceptable losses versus total extinction. Dominic studied her troubled expression, and you don't. I believe there's always another solution, one that doesn't require sacrificing our humanity to save our species. She glanced toward her father, who stood examining holographic battle projections. Keep working on arming individual ships, Dominic. Give us options beyond my father's calculus. 12 hours later, Dominic stood before Admiral Stone and the assembled coalition command staff aboard the orbital headquarters designated Bulwark. Representatives from 17 species filled the chamber, their diverse physiologies a testament to the Nyx threat's unifying power. The Sunspear technology can be adapted to approximately 20% of Coalition capital ships within the available timeframe, Dominic explained, displaying technical schematics. Additionally, we've developed a resonance cascade system that could temporarily neutralize Nyx quantum communication across a battle theater. Ambassador Volkov stepped forward. The Castorian Grand Fleet has committed 36 dreadnoughts on the strength of this technology. The Myriad Collective offers 18 carrier groups. With the Terran contribution and other coalition forces, we assemble the largest unified fleet in known galactic history. Admiral Stone nodded solemnly. Then we proceed to Phase 3. Engineer Reeves commence full production. Ambassador secure final commitments from wavering allies. He turned to the tactical display showing the approaching Nyx mothership. Marshal Frost will present his strategic assessment. As Thornton Frost took center stage, Dominic caught Dahlia's eye across the chamber. Her expression conveyed what words could not. The approaching battle would forge their destinies, for better or worse. The survival of countless civilizations now rested upon technologies barely understood and strategies born of desperate necessity. In the Forge of Valor, humanity would either temper itself into the galaxy's shield or shatter against the Nyx onslaught. The next few weeks would determine which. The void between stars shimmered as thousands of vessels dropped out of quantum fold simultaneously. Admiral Ezekiel Stone stood aboard the TSS Intrepid's command deck, watching the tactical hologram fill with friendly signatures, a constellation of hope assembled from 17 civilizations. Coalition forces in position, Admiral, reported his executive officer, Commander Prisha Mehta. Castorian dreadnoughts forming the vanguard, myriad carriers deploying fighter screens, Terran battle groups anchoring the formation as planned. Stone nodded, his weathered face illuminated by the tactical displays. At 67, he had never imagined commanding a fleet of this magnitude, over 3,000 vessels united against an existential threat. Status of the Sunspear platforms, he asked, eyes fixed on the approaching anomaly that represented the Nyx mothership. A structure that defied conventional description, appearing on sensors as a writhing mass of crystalline tendrils spanning nearly 40 kilometers. Engineer Reeves reports all 8 resonance platforms are operational, Prisha replied. Deployment to coordinates complete, awaiting your command to activate. Stone opened a secure channel. Lieutenant Frost, status of infiltration team. Dahlia's voice came through, punctuated by static. Infiltration shuttle cloaking systems holding. We're approaching the designated entry point. Marshal Frost confirms Nyx outer defenses match predicted patterns. The mention of Thornton Frost sent a ripple of discomfort through Stone. Bringing the controversial Marshal out of retirement had divided the Coalition command, but no one else possessed his insight into asymmetric warfare. More importantly, no one else had volunteered to lead what amounted to a suicide mission into the heart of the Nyx mothership. Stand by for synchronized assault, Stone ordered. All ships maintain communication discipline. Once the resonance cascade initiates, will have limited comms capability. On the infiltration shuttle, Dahlia checked her quantum disruptor rifle one final time. Beside her, 7 specialists from various coalition species made similar preparations. At the shuttle's controls, Marshal Thornton Frost guided them through the debris field surrounding the Nyx vessel. 2 minutes to entry point, he announced calmly, as if discussing the weather rather than a desperate gambit with minimal survival chances. Remember, our objective is to reach the central node and deploy Jerk's virus into their biological mainframe. Everything else is secondary. Dahlia moved beside her father, studying his profile. Your strategy is working so far, she admitted reluctantly. Thornton's eyes remained fixed on the navigation displays. It's not my strategy anymore, Dahlia. It's ours, yours, mine, Admiral Stone's, even Jerk's. No single mind could have conceived this. Before she could respond, the shuttle's sensors blared warning tones. Crystalline fighters had detected them despite their cloaking technology. Evasive maneuvers, Thornton ordered, his hands dancing across controls. Prepare for hot insertion. Aboard the research vessel Horizon, positioned well behind the main coalition fleet, Jerk watched the battle unfold with his 4 amber eyes. Beside him, Dr. Haruki Nakamura monitored biological readings from samples of Nyx tissue. The molecular breakdown is accelerating, Nakamura observed, excitement coloring his typically measured tone. Your theory was correct. Their central nervous system relies on specific radiation frequencies for cohesion. Jerk's translucent fingers adjusted holographic controls. My people discovered this too late. The critical threshold requires simultaneous disruption across multiple vectors, something no single species could achieve alone. Nakamura glanced at the tactical display, but together. Together we create thunder, Jerk finished, using the human metaphor he had come to appreciate. A resonance that will shatter their unity. The scientist's communicator chimed. Dominic Reeves' haggard face appeared. Resonance platforms report ready status, awaiting Admiral Stone's command. Jerk raised his elongated hand. Wait, I'm detecting anomalous energy signatures. The Nyx are adapting faster than predicted if we initiate now. An explosion rocked the horizon, cutting off his warning. Emergency klaxons wailed as damage reports flooded in. Stealth Nyx vessels, shouted Security Chief Benedict Freeman over the shipwide channel. They've bypassed the main fleet, all hands battle stations. Jerk staggered as another impact shook the research vessel. His gaze met Nakamura's, conveying wordless understanding. The horizon contained all their research, the key to defeating the Nyx permanently, if it fell. Evacuate essential personnel, Nakamura ordered. Download core research to secure transmitters. Jerk moved toward the primary database console. There isn't time. The biological trigger sequence must be manually calibrated to the resonance frequency. He began interfacing directly with the system, his bioluminescent skin pulsing with data transfer patterns. "What are you doing?" Nakamura demanded. "Ensuring your species doesn't face extinction as mine did," Jarek replied calmly. "The data is downloading into my neural pathways. I will deliver it personally to the infiltration team." On the command deck of the Intrepid, Admiral Stone watched in horror as the Horizon signal disappeared from tactical displays. "Horizon status," he demanded. Commander Maida shook her head. "Catastrophic hull breach detected before signal loss. Escape pods launching, but—" She paused, checking incoming transmissions. "Sir, Dr. Nakamura reports that Jarek has taken a shuttle toward the Nix mothership with the complete research data encoded in his neural system." Stone's eyes widened. "Inform Lieutenant Frost immediately. Their rendezvous coordinates have changed." Inside the Nix mothership, Dahlia's team fought through corridors that seemed alive, pulsing with bioluminescent patterns that responded to their presence. Two specialists had already fallen to defense mechanisms that emerged from the walls themselves. "The central node should be 3 sections ahead," Dahlia reported, checking the bioscanner Jarek had provided. "Resistance is intensifying." Thornton fired his disruptor rifle at a writhing mass of crystalline tentacles blocking their path. As expected, the Nix prioritized central node defense above all else. Their comms crackled to life, Admiral Stone's voice barely audible through interference. "Lieutenant, Marshal, Jarek approaching your position, has critical data, Horizon destroyed." Dahlia exchanged glances with her father. "New rendezvous point." Thornton consulted his tactical display. "Auxiliary node junction 2 levels down will need to." The deck beneath them suddenly transformed, becoming semi-liquid. 2 more specialists disappeared, pulled into the morphing structure before anyone could react. "Move," Thornton shouted, pushing the remaining team toward a stable section. In the chaos of battle above, Admiral Stone gave the command all of humanity had been preparing for. "Initiate resonance cascade. All vessels execute attack pattern Omega." Across the battlefield, 8 Sunspear platforms activated simultaneously, creating a quantum disruption field that spread like ripples in a pond. The effect was immediate and spectacular. The Nix vessels' coordinated movements faltered, their adaptive shields fluctuating wildly. "Coalition fleet engage at will," Stone ordered, "weapons free." The combined firepower of 17 civilizations converged on the Nix forces. Castorian plasma lances pierced suddenly vulnerable ships. Myriad fighters executed precision strikes against command nodes. Earth's newest destroyers deployed specialized munitions that shattered the crystalline hulls of Nix capital ships. "It's working," Prisha whispered, watching the tactical displays. "The hive-mind connection is disrupted." Stone's expression remained grim. "For now, but unless the infiltration team succeeds, the Nix will adapt." Deep within the mothership, Dahlia, Thornton, and their last remaining specialist, a reptilian Castorian demolitions expert named Trask, reached the rendezvous point. Jarek's shuttle had crashed through the mothership's outer hull, creating a breach that the living vessel was struggling to repair. Inside the wreckage, they found Jarek, grievously injured but conscious. His bioluminescent skin flickered weakly as he recognized them. "Lieutenant Frost," he whispered, "the data, complete neural download, you must connect me to the central node directly." Dahlia knelt beside him. "That would kill you." "I am already dying," Jarek replied simply. "My consciousness will deliver the destabilizing sequence directly into their network, a final gift from the last Luminari." As they prepared to move toward the central node, Thornton's scanner detected an alarming energy buildup. "The mothership is preparing to quantum jump. If it escapes, we lose everything." Trask hissed urgently, "The main reactor, we could overload it, prevent jump capability." "That would trigger a cascade reaction," Thornton calculated quickly. "The explosion would destroy everything within 10,000 kilometers." "Including the Coalition fleet," Dahlia realized. Thornton's weathered face settled into resolved lines. "Not if someone stays behind to delay the detonation, giving the fleet time to retreat beyond the blast radius." He met his daughter's gaze. "You need to get Jarek to the central node. I'll handle the reactor." "No," Dahlia protested. "There has to be another way." Thornton placed his hands on her shoulders. "There isn't. This was always a one-way mission, Dahlia. We both knew that." His voice softened. "I made the wrong calculation at Proxima Centauri. Let me make the right one now." After a moment of silence, Dahlia embraced her father. "The fleet will need 6 minutes to reach safe distance," she said, her voice steady despite the tears in her eyes. "They'll have 7, Thornton promised. "Now go." As Dahlia and Trask carried Jerk toward the central node, Thornton made his way to the mothership's reactor. When he reached it, he opened a direct channel to Admiral Stone. Ezekiel, initiate full retreat. Resonance cascade successful, but the mothership is attempting quantum jump. I'm going to ensure that doesn't happen. Stone's voice came back clearly despite the interference. Understood, Thornton, Coalition forces withdrawing to safe distance. A pause. It's been an honor, old friend. The honor was mine, Thornton replied. Humanity answered when the galaxy called. Remember that no matter what comes next. At the central node, a vast pulsating chamber of crystalline structures and flowing biological material, Dahlia connected Jerk directly to the primary interface. The alien scientist's body convulsed as his consciousness flowed into the Nix network, carrying the destabilizing sequence. It is done, Jerk whispered, his voice already becoming part of the ship's ambient sounds. Go now, your father awaits. As Dahlia and Trask fought their way back to their shuttle, the mothership began to convulse, its internal systems turning against themselves. They launched just as the enormous vessel's structure began to collapse, its quantum field destabilizing from within. From the bridge of the Intrepid, now at safe distance, Admiral Stone watched the mothership's destruction with solemn reverence. The quantum detonation created a shockwave that rippled through space itself, a thunderclap heard across light years. The Nix neural network has collapsed, Commander Mehta reported. Remaining enemy vessels are going dormant or self-destructing. Stone nodded, his eyes fixed on the small shuttle approaching through the debris field. Lieutenant Frost. Confirmed aboard, Prisha replied. She's requesting permission to dock. When Dahlia arrived on the bridge, the assembled officers stood in respect. Her uniform was torn and bloodied, but her posture remained straight as she approached Admiral Stone. Mission accomplished, sir, she reported formally. The Nix threat has been neutralized. My father and Jerk, she paused, steadying her voice. They ensured our victory. Stone placed a hand on her shoulder. Their sacrifice will not be forgotten, nor will the alliance forged in this battle. He gestured to the viewscreen where the Coalition fleet regrouped, damaged but intact. We came here as desperate defenders, we leave as something more. Dahlia gazed at the assembled vessels, 17 civilizations that had set aside ancient rivalries to face extinction together. What happens now? Now, Admiral Stone said, addressing not just Dahlia but the entire bridge crew, we build something that's never existed before. A galactic community based not on isolation but cooperation. The thunder of our response will echo through the stars for generations. As the Intrepid led the Coalition fleet homeward, Dahlia thought of her father's final words to her. The stars called for defenders and humanity answered. Not because we were strongest or wisest, but because we understood something the Nix never could, that true strength comes not from consuming others but from standing beside them. The galaxy had begged for aid, and humanity had answered with thunder, a resonance that would forever change their place among the stars.